people do better with people that care for them. And to know the best results are when people know their CEO, they feel comfortable. Hey, Jerry, how are you? How are the kids? I know your mom wasn't feeling so great. How is she doing? That goes a long way in the culture of the company, caring for the people that you work with.
Hey, what's up? This is Corey Dion Lewis, clinical health coach and host of the Healthy Project podcast. Now, the research shows that social determinants can have a greater impact on your health more than healthcare or lifestyle choices. The purpose of this podcast is to discuss how to improve health and reduce health inequity by speaking to healthcare professionals, thought leaders, and entrepreneurs. Now, if you're enjoying the podcast, give it a review. Or you can also make a donation to the Healthy Project using the link in the description. It takes 30 seconds and it's super easy. Hey, thank you so much for listening. Now let's get started. Hello, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Healthy Project podcast. I am your host, Corey Dion Lewis. I have a great and exciting guest in the building today. I have the founder and president of Unwrapped You. She is a health and wellness expert, and she specifically focuses a lot of her time on corporate wellness in that field. I have Coach Melody. Coach Melody, thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate it.
Hi, Corey. Good morning. And I am so happy to be here. It's always wonderful to talk health and wellness, and looking forward to being a part of your Healthy Project.
Absolutely. So before we get into the topic that we want to discuss today, how about you tell the people a little bit more about yourself and what wakes you up in the morning?
Well, people, what wakes me up in the morning is my ability really to spread wellness around the world. I'm very passionate about this. I came from the pharmaceutical industry, selling medications. But what more importantly to me is that people can do better with better training, more education. And I'm self-taught because I didn't grow up this way, eating a lot of things that weren't healthy, not working out, not understanding the process of sleep and stress. So now I get to go around the world and make this happen for executives, corporations, speaking engagements. So it's been a true joy from, incorporation in 2013 into 2022.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And Melody, so, I like to really, one of the things that I find interesting is our cultures and how culture influences our health. And I would love to get your thoughts from a corporate wellness, point of view, and you working with many employees and employers. What have you noticed, or what are some of the things that you realize of the workforce culture and how that affects the health of the individual?
Man, that is a loaded question, Corey.
Yeah, it is.
More time for me today. I believe in really laughing and having a good time and making health and wellness a fun topic, because it really and truly can be heavy. But when you think about it from a culture standpoint, we're in a whole different area now with the pandemic. What I did before the pandemic, 2013 to around 2019 to now has changed drastically. The stress is up. A lot of people are experiencing just the whole working from home culture. And now they've gotten used to that. And now people are kind of migrating back into the office, not happy because people have learned culturally, wow, I can maximize my time a whole lot different, a whole lot better working from home or having some level of hybrid scheduling. And what's happening is that, and a lot of times when you think about culture, companies say, oh, we have wellness for our employees, but it's through these insurance companies. That is not wellness, Corey. Wellness is having someone on site, and that from a coaching standpoint and being in your health system that you work. If people like to touch, they like to feel, they like to interact, and they like to feel safe with the information that they're sharing. It's very intimate. The things, honestly, we cry. I have clients that are crying because you have some really unpacking to do when you really start working with wellness. First of all, it's education. It's things that's happened in your past. It's things that are happening in your present. And just life experiences. So culturally, I just believe from just the whole standpoint of work, we spend most of our day there. Most people work 8 to 10 hours. And if you're in the healthcare system, more like 12 hours a day. That's a lot of time. And so to be able to be our best selves. And that's why corporate wellness is so important. And I always tell people, because the first response is, oh, they have access to that. People do not want to hit a mouse, and they're really personally tired of a lot of computer things, and people like to be in person. They like to have someone that they can personally attach to, which makes a huge difference.
So what is it about that transition from being at home, going back to work, or that mixture of the two that people are struggling with? There are those people who wanted to go back, really bad, those that didn't want to. But as you mentioned, there's that stressor. Like there's a lot of stress going back from being at home to work. What have you noticed about that transition?
I've noticed a couple of things because it's different. For example, there are some people that just are not productive working from home, period. Like I'll take me. Being in the pharmaceutical industry, I always work from home. This is nothing new for me. But when I went to being Coach Melody and going into doing the corporate wellness, I used to go in person to where I was going. And then once the pandemic happened, I found this virtual Microsoft Teams and, Zoom and all these different platforms that you can use. Well, that has helped me because of the timing standpoint. You don't have to drive and go. So the same thing for employees. Some are really productive, but some employees will tell you, I am not good at working from home. They're not structured enough. They don't have the discipline to do what they need to do. And then another thing now is that people are getting time on their computer to see how much you're working, how often you're working, what you're actually clicking on. That becomes stressful again. Biggest part about corporations, and I'm like, you have to be flexible. But if I can get all my work done in 6 hours because I'm not visiting my coworkers and talking and goofing off, which is part of the day, right? But if I can just simply say, I'm going to work really hard from 8 to 2, that's still a full day of work. And so that's what a lot of people do not understand. And so now employees have gotten accustomed to being able to do that. Like, it's really cool. I'll be in a workplace and they're like, now I can do laundry. I can cook through the day. I can go and work out really quick. I can get up in the morning instead of traveling. I can have my workout. You can get your kids to school. There is just so much of productivity there. And so from that standpoint, it just depends on the individual, how they're wired and how they work best, and then having those options.
Right. So for someone that is struggling with that return, they come to you and say, Coach Melody, I don't like this transition is messing with me mentally, messing with me physically. I gained that COVID-15 or, what people kind of talk about. What is your approach to that employee?
Yeah, that is a really good question, because first doing the assessment with them, just trying to figure out what the priorities are. You have to list them out, because one thing, Corey, you cannot do everything at once. That's overwhelming and it's not realistic. So think about this. If someone comes to me and says all that you just said, schedule and what that looks like and how they make priorities with the things that are important to them, keep them most productive and keep the stress levels down, and use some of the techniques that I have to decompress and de-stress, and being able to maximize the time they have. If that's time at work, that's time on their drive. I think that people do not understand how much time they kind of don't take advantage of, if I can say it nicely. Mm-hmm. It's always, well, Coach, I don't have time to work out. Or, Coach, I don't have time. Well, let's make time and let's look at what you're doing with the time that you have. So if you spend a lot of time on social media, you can generate to do something else. Just kind of there.
Now we're back at work, and we're thinking of the overall culture of the office. Mm-hmm. What has to change there for people to start to feel more secure about, drinking more water or going on that walk during that lunch break? Because some people are like, maybe they don't feel comfortable because the work culture is a little more tense?
That's when, Corey, people like myself are needed in the workplace to make those evaluations. I don't think that's one cookie cutter approach. It really is dealing with what is going on. Being able to foster those behaviors helps a lot because people need to get away from the computer. I have had a plethora of, for example, I've had people that actual schedules got tighter in a pandemic, meaning every hour they're on Zoom. You need to be able to get up. You need to be able to get around, move, go up the steps, have lunch. They're not eating. Your brain needs to refresh. You need to have some, and I have a lot of different techniques that I use to help with just some stillness and some quiet time to be able to truly be the best version of yourself. So culturally, a president needs to say, like, where was I? Where did we go in the pandemic and where do we want to go now? That is a true evaluation and assessment that needs to take place. And also getting the feedback of the people that are working there. Not that you can take every one thing and incorporate it or make it a part of the new culture, but there are small things that you really can do to help as people have become accustomed. I was talking to a HR professional and a CEO. I'm like, why not give your employees a hybrid? Because they're like, no, in the office from, a 9 to 5, that's it. But people were complaining a lot because now the drive time, gas is higher, food is higher. Like, so look at what we're going through. Mm-hmm. And people are happy because now they get 3 days in, 2 days at home, and then you're still able to really do the work. As long as your employees are getting the work done, that is the main goal. And then you want to make sure they're getting it done to where it's going to be good for them and yourself. And stress is not good. Not sleeping is not good. 80 hours a week is not good. Like, we really have to kind of take an assessment of what that looks like. And I always tell people, if you don't have someone on site, someone that is working with your employees directly, doing lunch and learns, workshops, facilitating challenges, sending out email blasts, like, there are so many different ways that we can structure your program. It's so important, and not including and counting on just saying, oh, we're doing something through our insurance plan, because we know that that's underutilized. I went right there and said, what is for corporations that I'm managing, what is your utilization rate? Only 40% signed up of 100%, and only 18% of the 40% is using it. So that is a very, very small number. How do we get more utilization? You have to bring someone in to be able to facilitate the information, even if you use the resources, is what I found.
Yeah. And how many of those people even know they have that option?
Exactly.
Because, a lot of those companies don't really market that. They don't market that stuff to their employees.
But that's why you have someone like me to come in and do the workplace wellness, because now I can research and see what is available, and we can streamline that out to the workplace, and then your utilization will go up. The utilization is not going to go up just by sending a link. We know that people are busy. They get hundreds of emails a week, and you can miss it or what have you. If you can explain what it is that we're doing, we can have milestones. Do some fun stuff with your employees. Make it a day, like, hey, on Friday, we're going to do something fun and I always tell CEOs, please get involved with whatever you're doing so you can become a part of your corporation. It's not like, Corey, you're here and I'm there. People do better with people that care for them, and to know the best results are when people know their CEO, they feel comfortable. Hey, Jerry, how are you? How are the kids? I know your mom wasn't feeling so great. How is she doing? That goes a long way in the culture of the company, caring for the people that you work with.
Yeah, is one thing getting an email from your CEO saying that walking is good, you should go for a walk. It's another thing seeing that CEO going on a walk himself.
Exactly. Leading the pack. And that happens to me. I'm always going to pull them in. And I've had some that say, okay, I'm going to do it. And they fall off. And it shows in the workplace too. Not that they have to be at every meeting. That's not what I'm saying. But they have to be present, even if it's just to kick it off or just be there sometimes, show their face, what have you. It's very important.
Right. So, and this has been a long time since I've been in the corporate wellness space. And I know back then, the the return on investment on investing into your employees was significant. I mean, there were some really good numbers. What does that look like now for a company? If they're coming to you and they're saying, how do I, because for a lot of companies, unfortunately, it's like, how do I get my money out of this? What's the return? What is your reaction to that? Or what is your comeback to how you're reinvesting that money into their employees and seeing that value?
Well, first of all, that I can't put a monetary amount on there, but the studies do show an improvement in productivity with employees that are in within workplace wellness programs. And just being able to have them produce more is great, but also having a happy, healthy employee overall, because ultimately any type of workplace wellness for me, when I build them out, is really to help the employees. And I like to start with presidents and their executive teams. And the reason why, because when they see the results that they get for themselves, because it's not one person that I've ever met that is perfectly well with everything. One person
Right.
is stressed, one person could be not sleeping, the eating is off, they've gained the COVID 30, you know what I mean? So there
Mm-hmm.
are parts that can be helped with, but that's why I have a holistic approach to wellness, which is going to be more advantageous over time, because after doing an assessment, I can build out and tell you the course of action that we'll take. You start with executive teams, and then when it trickles down to the employees, they know this works. They know how this made them feel. And then you want to make the whole office feel that way, honestly.
Right. No, that's good. That's good. So, Coach Melody, I know you are about that corporate wellness life. This is what you do, but you also have a heart for your community. And I know you have this 3K walk coming up September 10th, which is a hybrid walk. Can you tell us, a little bit more about that walk, how you came about it, and how can individuals and teams can get involved?
Awesome. Oh, this is such my baby, Corey. I created the Fam Fun 3K. It was the Family Fun 3K. This is our sixth annual. It's going to be so awesome. And the reason why it's September 10th, because that's Childhood Obesity Month. And it really is important to me. If our kids are taking better care of themselves, then it's going to show later. I feel like with wellness, if we start teaching it earlier in our school systems with our young people, then we build healthier young people. But this is a Fam Fun 3K. Why? Because grandma can come, grandpa. So that's grandparents, parents, kids, organizations. We have vendors. We'll have a lot of resources that are out there. We have games, hula contests, jump rope, like all the things that are old school that were so fun for us, and really trying to show people it is okay. And these are some of the ways that you can be healthier. And I just absolutely love it. It just keeps growing and growing. You can just go to YouTube. I've pretty much put them all like short clips, less than 3 to 4 minutes on YouTube. So any of your listeners or viewers can go to Coach Melody on YouTube and find them. The same thing on Instagram or LinkedIn and Facebook. I have a Coach Melody page. I absolutely adore this 3K because you've only seen it get bigger and bigger. And now it's hybrid. I'm shooting for 20 states and 3 countries, 3 different continents. Last year I had Africa, I had Europe and the US. So that was 3.
Okay.
I just feel like now that we're hybrid, we can do a lot more. All they have to do is take a picture, they can register on Eventbrite, take a photo and hashtag the FamFun 3K, which house them all at a particular place. So if anyone wants to see any of last year's pictures, they can go on Facebook and pull up FamFun 3K, FAMFUN 3K, and you can see all the videos. It was just such a blast. And we did so well last year in COVID. And then the year before that, it was all virtual because my business coach was like, look, you can't give up on this. And it was even more, it was a huge reach in the virtual only way of doing it. So this has really taught us a lot about the world and how we can come together. So I encourage everybody to get registered. You're going to get t-shirts. And if you're in the Metro St. Louis area, you can come out to the event and they can look it up. There's an event page on Facebook. There's also the one that they can go to on Eventbrite. And I even encourage people, get your workplace involved. You guys can all register and do a walk on that Saturday or even that Friday and post, take a picture and post it out. Wouldn't that be amazing to be supporting the obesity community events and all that? So if they have any questions, they can feel free to reach out to me as well.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. Well, Coach Melody, again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciated it. If anyone else, and I'll definitely have these in the links, but if anybody wanted to get to know you a little bit more, learn more about what you're doing with Unwrap You and corporate wellness, where can they find you?
Well, I would love for them to link up with me on LinkedIn. It's Coach Melody. I am a published author and a health contributor. So I do a lot of different things, Corey, and it's all in an effort to help people around the world just live better and know practical ways to incorporate these behavior modifications that's needed. They can just find me on Coach Melody on everything: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and my website is www.unwrappyou.com. And I look forward to speaking with you. I will offer for any of your listeners a complimentary, that's a free consult for your corporation wellness, if that's any type of speaking engagements, retreats, building out your own workplace wellness, doing some executive coaching, what have you. Tell them to reach out and tell them that they came from the Healthy Project, and I will give them a free consult.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure I definitely have that in the description of the podcast, so people can get on that, because that is, you can't beat free. There's none below that. So
yes.
Again, Coach Melody, thank you so much for your time, and everybody, thank you for listening to the Healthy Project podcast. I'll holler at you next time.